Alright, so welcome to a Mediterranean showdown. Vodka+Rise, two Italian players versus Kasva and BaDream, Fenerbahce Esports, a Turkish team. We will have Hideout and Ragedside Fortress, two very well defendable bases. For Vodka+Rise, Coast to Mountain and Forest Pond are the bans of the two teams. Cape of Storms and Eruption will be the picks for Fenerbahce. In terms of civilizations, Lithuanians are gods are banned. And Vietnamese, Ethiopians, Mayans, Franks, Britons will be the pool 1 civs of our Italians. Sicilians, Burgundians were given to them by the opponents. Koreans, Byzantines, Malay. Other side, Persians, Teutons, Burmese, Turks, Spanish are the civs that are given to them. And an early Tatars pick for our Turkish team alongside Indians, Italians, Incas. That's a super early Inca pick here. But with that, that's the overall civ lineup of the two teams. So it is interesting to see Kasva teaming up with BaDream. I think this is the first time that they play together. I don't know much about this combination of players, to be honest. So I think it is like Kasva had plans to sign up with Sito at some time, but then probably that changed, and he's going for a fellow Turkish player. I don't know much about BaDream as a player, so we will see what Fenerbahce can do over here. It is, I'm not sure if actually BaDream is part of Fenerbahce, but we know that Kasva is, so he's part of the esports organization of the Turkish soccer team, Fenerbahce. Whereas on the other side, Vodka+Rise, I think, played in medium-sized tournaments very recently. So they are decent, but not necessarily the most amazing players out there. With that being said, we will go to Arabia. So let's get into game number 1. This is actually standard game mode, so it's not Empire Wars. Empire Wars with 2 post settings would be at minimum interesting, per se. Alrighty, so everything is set, and we will jump into game number 1 over here. Welcome to game number 1 of the third qualifier set of 2 pools 2. This is going to be between Fenerbahce and Vodka+Rise. We will have Chinese for Kasva in red on the left, and in yellow we're gonna have BaDream as Persians. One of the beautiful things about Chinese in 2 pools, I believe, is that there is very few civilizations that have good cavalry and good archer play as well. Chinese have a great cavalry play because of their strong eco. They can get up to fully upgraded cavalier. Whereas they also have very good Arblast play. And such versatile civs, I think, are the priority to take in your pool 1, because you want to be able to combine those with whatever you are given in your second pool. Other side, we have Mayans for Vodka in blue, and ladies and gentlemen, Rice is going to be bringing in Burgundians for us. So with that, we're gonna have an interesting cavalry civ. Let's see those Castle Age Cavalier. This is really the first time where we're going to see Burgundians in a competitive environment. Never before were Burgundians picked in a tournament. So I think Hidden Cup had one Sicilian pick in the qualifiers, and that was it. Burgundians weren't picked at all in Hidden Cup. So this means that this is the first time we're witnessing Burgundians in a tournament, so we'll see if the Castle Age Cavalier are actually overpowered, as it was suggested at the beginning of their career, or Burgundians will become an underwhelming civilization on land. With that, the gold mine of Rice is actually pretty open, and he doesn't really have another amazing gold mine. He might end up rolling like this, and then that secures that gold mine, but overall I'm not really a big fan of his golds. Other than that, his map is actually fairly rollable. Vodka's map is actually an amazing one. So the golden stone on the front is not great, but he's got a good gold mine and a very, very easy volability for him. You got BaDream with a kind of underwhelming map with just the front gold, no secure gold mines at the back, so that's actually pretty unlucky for him. But he's the scout civilization, so it's not really a big deal at the beginning. And lastly, we will have Kasva, potentially the strongest player among the four, is playing with a very, very open map here. This is a super omega open map with what actually is legitimately a wood line at the edge of the map. So this is gonna be hard for Kasva to defend, but I feel like their bases aren't really great. We're gonna have walls coming up here, so indeed Rise might just be using that gold mine for himself. He's gonna be playing the cavalry role, whereas on the other side, Vodka will obviously be playing archers with Mayans. So no aggression whatsoever so far. Everybody is chilling, no laming going on either. And with that, the boars are officially in. So we'll get going with fuel age coming in soon for both players. I would think that especially with Kasva pushing in some deer for himself with Chinese, he should be able to secure 21 pop-ish timing. It's not going to be 21 pop because he's Chinese, but if we take a look at the idle time that he has had, 38 seconds of TC idle time with Chinese is actually very, very decent. So, with that, we are going to have our Burgundian player over here. And this is the interesting part of Burgundians. Are you actually going to spend a bit more time in Dark Age for the sake of potentially getting Horse Color or Double Bit Axe? Or you're just going to go for Feudal? This is a 21 pop Feudal timing, which seems alright considering that he had only one deer push. And I would think what you do is you don't delay your Feudal Age, but you will probably try to get Double Bit Axe while you're going up. So that would be very, very beneficial. Let's see the timing of that for Rise. Burgundians definitely give you a lot of versatility in many ways, but they need to be figured out well because, as I said, this is the first time that they're being used in a tournament. So let's see if Rise actually just wants to play conventional, so basically try to do what he would do with other civilizations on this map, or actually use the benefit of Burgundians. And here it is, you see, Double Bit Axe, half a minute before Feudal Age, it helps a bit. It isn't really a massive boost, but it is something, especially early Feudal when you have to squeeze in a stable, you have to squeeze in farms soon. It helps quite a lot that you can actually get Double Bit Axe a little earlier, and Horse Color coming in early as well. That's the advantage that you're getting from Burgundians, so now he can start dropping farms easily. And in the meanwhile, we're going to have what appears to be just a standard straight archer's timing over here from Vodka. He's going to be using his more forward gold here, which is dangerous, but he can just go for the ranges some round over here. We'll have a stable coming in for BaDream. And one of the things that you shouldn't underestimate is that Persians have an attack bonus against archers with their knights, which means that this is going to be tough for Vodka and Rise to fight against in Castle Age. First archer range just now coming in, and it looks like Rise is gonna have this stable already up. Eco upgrades in, and the Boso, that's a very, very early Boso. You gotta wonder if that is a too tight build, because I don't think that he can actually go for a lot of scouts now. His food count isn't looking amazing for that. But does he need it? Because the thing is that he might actually be able to skip a bit of a scout production for the sake of being able to go for Boso. And this is definitely a fairly vulnerable map for him, so his eco is gonna look pretty nice and solid, but yeah, there's the TC idle time. He needs to cancel that scout and queue up a villager, because if he idles his TC like that, then that's going to mean that the Boso advantage will just disappear in a matter of seconds. Scout's now coming towards Vodka, but he's just gonna wall himself up and say, okay, whatever. Kasva is so far away from me that it's going to take forever for Kasva to get in here. Which means that if Vodka is fully walled, Kasva and BaDream won't be able to get into his base. The archer safe here is so far away that there is no way they can actually hit Vodka. Obviously, that applies the other way around as well, but that helps a lot for Rice's team, I believe, because he's the one grabbing the eco upgrades, and you see that Rice already has Boso and Horse Color when Kasva just now grabbing Horse Color. Obviously, with the Chinese, that's not really a big deal, but still, with that, Scout War coming in here, Rice has 3 scouts over here up against still 3 scouts. We'll see if they're actually getting dragged into the Spearman, the archers. And one of the problems that Kasva has being this far away from his teammate and the opponent is that it is extremely hard to help out your teammate in case he gets pushed with archers, and that's exactly what we are witnessing over here. So archers and spears coming forward, they will actually take an engagement against those scouts over here, and you don't really have a good answer to spears and archers with your scouts right now. Defensive tower comes in here for BaDream, and that would mean, and that should mean, that he's gonna have trouble controlling that gold mine. Interesting walls overall for him. It's more about just making sure scouts don't run past. There's a couple of archers coming from Kasva to defend. If they get inside the walls, they're fine, as BaDream is waiting for the opportunity to sandwich this army in here. So they're waiting for Kasva's archers to hit them from the back, and then the scouts will attack from the other side. Still, now that Rice is able to use a consistent wardrobe production, this is a crazy eco. This is Horse Color Boso for him, and that eco advantage is going to start showing really soon. Wardrobe count is somewhat in the favor of Kasva. Part of that comes from the fact that Kasva is playing Chinese, so reality is that it's not really a 5... Well, it is a 5 Warriors lead, but it's not actually the fault of Vodka or Rice, or at least not that much. For now, it looks like Vodka is just going to play it safe, not lose his army. And if you look at his resources, he's actually getting close to clicking up to Castle Age. And if he preserves his army like that, he will be able to go for crossbows, no problem. BaDream just walling himself off on the left side. With that, more scouts are out for Rise. That's actually a pretty... It's not really a nice gold mine, but it is what it is. So, a couple more scouts will be on the field for Rice. I don't think that he needs to invest into more scouts though, because it doesn't seem like they will be doing much of a damage. So, really these scouts more like serve the purpose of being able to track the opponent's army and potentially just making sure that your teammate doesn't lose his archers. And now it's archers and scouts from our Turkish team moving forward towards the base of Rice. Rice is a fairly weak wall over here that they can break through. There is actually a hole here in between the houses. That's what I was looking at, if this gate actually leads to a dead end or so. So it looks like both teams will just attack each other's starting bases, and BaDream isn't ready with the walls, and that's quite a lot of archers coming in. Castle Age will be there for both players. Nice wall over there before the archers arrive, but that's still Palisade Gate Foundation. Gate foundations are fairly weak, so you see that it's gonna go down like nothing. Other side, we do have nice rewalls from Rise, archers and scouts trying to bash their way through. The scouts have no upgrades over here. Other side, we do have no upgrades either, but BaDream starting to lose villagers, and that's where things start spiraling out of control, because you just lost both of your wood lines. Castle Age is coming in for him though. That could save his day, because as I said, with Persian Knights, you should have no major problem cleaning up archers. Even there is a couple of spearmen supporting. So they weren't able to hit Rice's base. Rice re-walled this one very nicely. Even might be an overreaction. He went for double market walls, but look at all these house walls now coming up. It looks like now they will be going towards Vodka, and Rice is the last player looking up to Castle Age here. He obviously has a great eco. He might even go for heavy blow while he's going up, but it's not really a big deal, I think, for Vodka's team right now, because at the end of the day, BaDream is gonna have to be busy cleaning this one up. It looks like they will disengage, knowing that BaDream is probably almost up. Market wall coming in here from Vodka, and the archers, for now with +1 defense, they should be able to scare this army away for now, but there's a hill for Kasva and he also has +1 defense, so this is not an easy fight for Vodka. What he needs to focus on is picking off the scouts from a distance, because the archers alone won't get through the walls, and he's doing an excellent job with that. And now comes the scouts from the other player over here. Still no upgrades on them. Skateboarding just now coming in. They're waiting for skateboarding and they will jump this army then. Because trading off scouts to archers is a dream scenario in early Castle Age. Because your scouts will become obsolete very soon. So you want to be able to trade it off to something valuable, and archers are definitely valuable. So if you get +1 defense in, they might even wait for +1 attack. But crossbows are soon in, so I feel like they have to take this fight right now. They might have even waited too long. Crossbows will be coming in as well for Vodka, so it looks like now the scouts will jump the archers. Crossbows will be in a moment for Kasva, so I think he's doing the right thing, picking off as many archers as he can. But this ends up being a cleanup, and with that, this is 21 archers against the 12 crossbows. So, double range archer play here, fast thumb ring for Kasva to increase the quality of those archers, no ballistics just yet for him. His opponent is up on 3 ranges, so triple range mine archers will be scary, ballistics coming in fast. For Vodka+Rise is going for TC number 2 on his primary gold, and let's see if we're going to see the Cavalier upgrade coming in soon. Because that's the bigger question. It's Knights right now, they do not have bloodlines, so they gotta go with the Cavalier play over here. Second TC coming in as well for Vodka, same for BaDream. There will be quite a lot of Persian Knights out though, and that's always something that you have to pay attention for. Persian Knights are very scary against archers. Boso just now coming in for Vodka. Rice is laughing, hey, I had that for 20 minutes or so. So, Husbandry coming in fast. Remember that the cost of these technologies is cheaper for Burgundians, which helps quite a lot. +2 defense, important upgrade for BaDream. Right now, Voyager count is fairly even, and we'll have an even +2 defense for Kasva. So it looks like we're going to have an army-heavy approach here for our Turkish team, going for +2 defense, fast thumb ring, might even a university for ballistics. Indeed, here it comes for Kasva. Whereas on the other side, here comes the cheap Cavalier. No +2 defense on them though. So I'm not sure how good these Cavalier will be, to be honest. They feel horribly under-upgraded over here. As that's gonna be the hill advantage as well for Kasva, just going for ballistics, but he already has thumb ring. Some of the crossbows will be intercepted, which is far from ideal, and the knights will have to loop around. +2 defense now coming in for Rise, and here is a Cavalier, 3, 2, 1, and at the end of the day, that was a good fight for Vodka and Rise. They picked off like 5, 6, 7 crossbows for basically no retaliation. These scouts could do some damage over here, but they probably won't. They don't have bloodlines. They have +1/+1. They might kill 1 or 2 Voyagers if our yellow player isn't paying attention, but apparently he does. And with that, now it's Cavalier, but reality is that if you compare these Cavalier units, 120 HP, 4 pierce armor, 4 melee armor, and 12 +1 attack, what you find is that the only thing that you really get with these Cavalier is 2 extra attack. Which is still nice, but it isn't actually as broken as many people would think Cavalier and Castle Age without bloodlines. If they had bloodlines, it would be broken, I believe. But anyways, we will have 3 TCs for Kasva, 103 Voyagers right now for them. They're playing super safe right now. Rise is 2 TCs, so is Vodka. Thumbring just now coming in though for Vodka, and this is where you gotta be careful. Those crossbows will start pushing that gold mine. Defensive tower will help momentarily, but that's a lot of Cavalier and crossbows. Now breaking through, so BaDream is gonna have to run back to his TC. And the crossbows and knights are somewhat mispositioned. However, you have to consider that still 15 knights with the Persian attack bonus against archers. Cavaliers, as I said, the extra attack here helps quite a bit knocking down the tower, and that's -5 Voyagers. But this army might quickly get surrounded. And at the end of the day, we are gonna have the cleanup. Is it gonna be a cleanup though? Is it gonna be a cleanup? Nice crossbow micro over there from both sides, juking arrows left and right. Not sure how is this happening because both players are supposed to have ballistic thumb ring. But right now the idea is that you want to shield those crossbows away from the yellow knights, because if the yellow knights start engaging, they start smashing those archers. pretty easily, but the Cavalier pretty much tanked up the damage. There is still +2 defense for Kasva and only +1 for Vodka. But there is Hill as well here. I think it's 20 versus 20 crossbows. This should be technically a win if it only was crossbow versus crossbow. Was that a deletion? Was that an actual deletion? Wait a second. I gotta rewind this as Jordan is back with the raid. No, it wasn't a deletion. Like, there were so many dead bodies that for a moment I thought it was actual deletion, but nope, it isn't. They just died to the crossbows of Mayans over here. Rise with the Burgundian Cavalier. In this one, that actually is an excellent meat shield in this case. They're pretty much equivalent to knights in terms of meat shield value, but they help quite a bit decide this engagement. And with that, it's only 11 crossbows right now for Kasva, 26 for Vodka. Rise has got the Burgundian Cavaliers. He didn't get the Imp eco upgrades just yet, so he only has Boso and Horsecolor right now. He used the early bonus from Burgundians, but after that he kind of forgot about that. And with that, Voyager count is still surprisingly even. The army count is what is very, very, very scary right now for Kasva's team. This TC should be able to protect all of these Voyagers, but the idle time will definitely be something that you consider. So, with that, crossbows once again will break in. This is the only two wood lines that BaDream is able to take, and now Cavaliers bashing down Voyagers on the wood line. And BaDream is down to 57 Voyagers, and as I said, Kasva is very, very far away from his teammate. Overall, his base is just so far that it takes so much time for the archers to move. This is why they're hitting BaDream, by the way, because they know that his teammate is so far away, and the archers are slow moving, so it takes forever for Kasva to come in here. And with that, Imperial Age coming in here for Vodka. He's playing Mayans really, really well over here. Once he gets to Imp, he's gonna have Arblasts. He will still need Siege because Obsidian Arrows is no longer a thing, but that's an excellent start for them. Here on Arabia, they have a very, very nice combination of civilizations. Same on the other side. So it's not really a civ advantage on either side. It's more like the damage that they're able to cause. And I have no idea how those crosses are missing that much, but they're actually having ballistics and thumbring. We saw both of those stats being researched, so that was awkward. Range number 5 coming in here for Vodka. He's not on stone, so no forward castle. I guess it gotta be Rams. He's gonna have the Arbalest, but if he doesn't have Siege, he won't be able to finish off the opponent. That is the primary concern over here. So 3 TCs still for Kasva, but the problem is that he's not close to Imperial. He's gonna have crossbows, but it's 39 crossbows against 44, soon to be Arbs, and Rice is going into Imperial himself, and that's where the next massive spike of Burgundians come in. The cheap and fast Paladin play. So they're gonna get that Paladin upgrade very, very easily. And it looks like we have a couple of camels in here to try and fight the cavalry, but the real problem is actual numbers. So it is, Voyager count-wise, it's fairly even. Army numbers are alright as well. The problem is that once even Bracer kicks in, that's already enough for Vodka to decide this engagement. Nicely microing back for now. Surrenders the hill. He could try to run for this hill, but once he has Arbalest or even just Bracer, he's just gonna start melting those knights. And with that, Bracer is now in. You can actually start taking this fight. Both players have +2 defense, and Arbalest will be in soon. I also like that the cavalry is taking away a lot of the arrow fire from Kasva's crossbows. So with that, Rice is also 1 minute away from Imperial, going for 2 more stables in this one. Now the blob of archers starts moving, and this is where Kasva is gonna be in trouble. He needs 2.5 minutes to get into Imperial, which is an awful lot of time when you're up against 57 Arbs. 3 TCs for Vodka right now. I don't see any Siege, but he's adding Voyagers to stone now that he has map control. So I guess a castle is gonna be a thing fairly soon. Arbalests will be able to just push away BaDream from the gold mine. That's the biggest problem. BaDream is gonna have some gold income from the left, but that isn't really gonna be super satisfactory. Rice is up to Imperial as well. There is the fast paladin play. The only thing that they that actually stops them from absolutely annihilating anything in early Imperial is that it still takes 2.5 minutes until it is researched. But still, that being said, it's gonna be paladins in 2.5 minutes with no real hope of stopping this. Guard tower for BaDream for the 0 defensive towers that he has, and they're already Cavaliers. They do more damage to buildings than Knights do. That's one of the advantages that you're getting over here. And even without Obsidian Arrows, that many Arbrests will actually start doing damage on the TC. In fact, there's a Persian TC that's melting really fast over here to the Cavalier. So we will have Arbalests being picked off here, coinage coming in here for Kasva, but I don't think that matters that much, to be honest. 105 army against 67. Kasva is up to Imperios, he's gonna bring in his own Arbs. We're gonna have one big clash over here, 80 Arbs against 60. You already have +4 defense though for Vodka as well. And a beautifully timed horse color timing from Vodka at 39 minutes. He's not the only person that lives in Italy and messes up the horse color timing, apparently. So, Arbalest, Chemistry, Bracer, Ring, Archer Armor. Apparently Kasva is just spending all his resources on all those upgrades. And with that, now it's Paladin in a couple of seconds. We already have Caravan being set up, so trade is a plan soon for Vodka and Rice. Don't have a left corner yet, but they're really preparing for trade. You can never start too early. 75 Arbs, 0 army from BaDream. 0 army at all. So that's the main problem that they're facing. Kasva's got an insane force, but is that enough against that many Arbs? These are cheaper Arbs as well, so cost efficiency is on the side of the Mayan player. And now the Paladins charge in. They're missing Bloodlines, but that fast Paladin play really helps here for Rise. And I feel like that's the end of the story over there. The crossbows get sandwiched, and I feel like that's not the side that you want to see when you're the red player. That's for sure. So now indeed BaDream calls the GG, and Vodka's team takes over in game number 1. Alright, so with that, game number 1 in the hands of the Italians. Well-used Burgundians, I would say, over here. Mayans also were really well used by Vodka. I like the early Imperial timing. That was extremely helpful for them. One of the reasons why Mayans are so strong on this one. So with that, Vodka and Rice take Arabia, and we're going to one of the home maps of Fenerbahce, which is Cape of Storms or Eruption. Now, taking a look at their civilizations, Tatars seem alright for Eruption, alongside maybe Burmese or Spanish or even Turks. Cape of Storms seems like an Italian's map to me, based on what we are seeing on the other maps. And with that, we will actually jump into game number 2. So, Fenerbahce versus Rise and Vodka. We will go for game number 2. Welcome to Cape of Storms. Over here, we're gonna have Kasva playing as Incas in red on the flank. And on the other side, we will have BaDream as Italians pocketing yellow. This is kind of the playstyle that I imagined for this map. So Italian pocket can do a crazy fish boom, potentially add fire galleys as well to contest the water. Whereas Incas can just do their thing with their Inca whale rush most likely. Other side, Ethiopians for Vodka in blue. Good standard purpose archer civilization over here, and Sicilians for Rise. So what is he up to with the pocket Sicilians? I don't really know. Could be a capture H freeze, for example, or it could just be, you know, once again, water fights with Sicilians, because Sicilians can do water fighting just as good as any other civilization is capable of, but if they want to play pocket scouts, they can actually do that as well. Still, they are an infantry civ, so mobility won't really be on their side to push on pocket. But it looks like Rice and Vodka feel confident playing with the two new civilizations as their Pool 2 civs. And indeed, one thing that you have to notice with this map is that you have elevation on the water. And elevation on the water means that there's actual hill advantage on the water. For ships, that's always a nice part of the ship micro. These are actually depicting waves, so this is a stormy coastline, hence the name of the map. So, you start with 3 boars on this map, which also makes it a very, very fast-paced start over here. You see that both players start with 3 rhinos. Stormy coastal forest? No, coastal forest is the stormless cape of storms. You gotta take the priorities, because indeed the coastal forest map of the ranked map pool is actually modeled after this one. So it looks like Kasva might actually try to block a villager, but that villager is actually very close to the TC, so this is not gonna happen. And he's gonna lose a bit of an HP on that scout. Not really a big deal at this very moment. So with that, we're gonna have Fishing Eco coming in here for BaDream. He is the only player that goes for Fishing Eco up until now. Rise brings in the Sicilians. I also noticed that Rise is the player that plays both of the new civs. He played Burgundians the previous game, he now plays Sicilians. And we are gonna have a dock coming up here for Vodka as well. So, with that, we're gonna have to take a look at the food eco of these players. And one of the unique things about having 3 boards is that if you go for a fast feudal sort of archer or galley rush play, oftentimes you don't even consume your 3rd board, because by the time you would bring it in, you don't need it, because you actually send villagers to wood and gold. So you only lure the 3rd board in very, very late in many instances. This also makes Mongols, by the way, an insanely strong civilization on this map. Not just the 3 boards, but you also have some ostrich to hunt. Fishing eco is there for Rice. Rice actually saves that villager over there with some crazy quick walls. So with that, we're gonna have the fishing coming in over here. Other side, Kasva is getting ready to click up to Feudal Age here. That's gonna be nice and easy to one-pop Feudal from him. And, well, he will probably do what Incas do best and go for a Veil Rush. Many of those villagers are weak, by the way. He did lure in all 3 of his boars, so that means that he took more punishing on his villagers. But I would assume that he's gonna go for a fairly aggressive feudal over here. Same feudal age for BaDream, though. So both of these players are actually going for a quite fast feudal, which is somewhat surprising considering that Vodka and Rise are a little bit slower to feudal age. And are we actually going to see villager rush, though? Because this might just be mind games. You might think, hey, it's Incas, they got a Veil Rush, but reality is that they do not need to Veil Rush by any means. In fact, never mind. Forget everything I said. For a moment, I thought he's just going to surprise and, you know, go for fire galleys maybe. But nope, it's Veil Rush. It's a Veil Rush. So, with that, we have a pink here on the north. It's about the stone! Oh my goodness! I think that's when they are realizing that there is no stone. Or actually, there's a bit of a stone around here, but not an awful lot. So if you want to mine stone, you gotta go to the north. What is the plan here for Kasva? What is the plan? He's bringing 9 villagers right now. Blacksmith going up just now for him. Wheelbarrow fast. for faster moving villagers, and he's going to tower the fishing eco and the gold mine of the opponent. That's an excellent tower. I wonder if Vodka sees it, but he should. Yeah, he sees this, but he can't really stop it by any means, and he traps the villager over there as well. Nice move from Kasva to trap the villager in there. The tower is gonna go up, and that means that that villager is history, and that dock is gonna be denied as well, because slowly the fishing ships will actually be killed. Gold mine also denied. That's an excellent start for Kasva. But here's the deal. What is he going to do now? He doesn't have more stone for towers, so it's just gonna be good old-fashioned, you know, villager wars. And indeed, here it comes. He rushes to the opponent's wood line, gets forging. He already has wheelbarrow and defense upgrade. So it is a villager war coming in. There will also be barracks, maybe for a couple of spearmen to fight against scouts. It looks like BaDream is also bringing in his own scouts. He's playing Italian scouts from pocket. Other side, it looks like we're gonna have scouts as well for Rise, as he's trying to pick off a villager that is making the barracks. Right now, Vodka's team has the eco lead because they do have water, but eventually these fishing ships will die. Right now it's untouched fishing eco for the two pocket players. So now it is gonna be spearmen indeed to fight against the scouts, defensive scouts as well for Rise. They pick off one villager to start the game with. And, well, this is exactly how competitive Age of Empires looks like in 2021, ladies and gentlemen. Another Voyager gets picked off over here, which evens out the Voyager count, but more importantly, the idle time is crazy on Vodka. So he has basically very unreliable food income. He's housed, he doesn't have wood income, and look at that, he's actually laming the wood line of the opponent. So basically blocking the wood line will mean that even though you have archer ranges, you will struggle to afford archers, and they will have to move to a different wood line, making a new lumber camp. A dock comes up now for Kasva. We're gonna go for a couple of fire galleys here for him. He can afford a single fire galley, that's the idea, because he doesn't have more gold, but he can afford one. The archers from Vodka aren't focusing down the spearmen, which is a disaster at this stage, because those spearmen are eating up the scouts of Rise. Over here now the archers will move in and pick off at least one of the spearmen. This is still a cleanup from Vodka and Rise over here though, and that starts to make this thing look pretty bad for Kasva and BaDream, because well, at the end of the day, this is still a 4 Villagers lead for their opponent, and it doesn't seem like there is an actual army going on here. So yeah, Fire Galley will be out here. It looks like the fishing eco for our blue player is already gone though, so it doesn't really matter anyways. Regardless of that, we have a decent boom here from BaDream, and one thing that we have to consider is that he didn't have to make a lot of scouts. In fact, he didn't do more than 3 or 4. And that means that his food count is looking pretty decent to go up into Castle Age. Indeed, he gets a market up, and he goes up to Castle right away. And first 2 knights here is an extremely huge advantage, because you can make sure that you can do some heavy raiding with some knights on the opponent's wood eco. Potentially the map is super open, so knights can do a lot of damage, but so can scouts. And those scouts will just jump on top of the villagers here on the wood line from Kasva. Those are harder to kill because they have the Inca armor bonus, but the opponent does have a +1/+1 on those scouts. Nice quick pulls from Kasva over there. He's also taking gold from the opponent's gold mine over here. 65 villagers to 60 is the count. Scouts unable to get in here. You can make a defensive spearman, even though Kasva doesn't even have barracks back at home. But spearmen also aren't amazing against Sicilian scouts, because Sicilian scouts do have their resistance to bonus damage. But BaDream actually has a quite decent fishing eco here, but only 3 fishing ships, as opposed to the other pocket that just lost its fishing eco. So even though Vodka didn't really have any fish remaining, these fire galleys were useful because Kasva is able to pick off the opponent's fishing eco, which pretty much evens out the villager count until Rice's archers come in here, and they will start picking off villagers on the wood line alongside the scouts. So now Kasva is down to 23 villagers only. This is basically Inca will rush and then hope my teammate is actually able to finish off the game with Castle, because now BaDream has to do some massive carrying. Otherwise, this villager seems like it's gonna be dead as well. So unless there's an actual massive carrying coming in from Rise, this is going to be very, very troublesome for Turks. So there's the double stable, even triple stable play here. Triple stable Knights could be scary though, because the first player from Vodka's team to move up into Castle Age will be Rise himself. But still, it's gonna be quite tricky to survive against triple stable Knights until then. Italian Knights are pretty much alright. So, chain boarding is now coming in. Scouts will just jump on villagers and pick off a couple more before they go down to the Knights. And this is all that Rice wants to accomplish. He wants to make sure the Knights chase him. It's only one Knight chasing though. So the rest of the Knights will most likely be sent forward, although the production isn't really consistent for BaDream. In fact, that is a very, very underwhelming production as another Voyager goes down. Right now it's a 5 Voyagers lead for Vodka's team. They also denied this gold mine from Kasva. Kasva's at 25 Voyagers. And one thing that you have to consider is that the Rice's eco isn't that bad either. So if he gets to Castle Age, he's gonna have like 20 crossbows on the field immediately. Now the Knights start moving, but Castle Age is almost in as well for our green player. And one thing that you have to consider is that you are gonna have the Knights from BaDream here, but they are only... Okay, now they're +2 defense. So the archers won't do much against them. And the thing is that Vodka is still nowhere close to Castle Age. Another tower comes in here for Kasva. He actually went for a market and bought 100 stone to do that. So you have to buy your stone if you want to make castles here. That's the drawback of this entire thing. So with archers picking off some HP from those Knights, now they will dive in, try and stop that tower. There is actually a second tower up for, or second wood line up for Vodka, which means that it's not really the end of the world if you lose this wood line to a tower. The tower goes up, but it pretty much turns into a proper doubt tower. With the exception of 2 Voyagers, everybody was killed beneath it. Kassa's at 26 Voyagers, which is very, very, very low for the situation. Now there is still Knights coming in here from BaDream, and now in increasing quantities. There will be Knights as well, fast husbandry for our Sicilian player. So he's trying to make sure he can catch up with those Knights. Archers will actually be doing a decent job finishing off those Knights. There is quite a lot of them. And once Vodka gets up into Castle Age, he's gonna be able to get crossbow, and he also gets the free pikeman upgrade of Ethiopians, which helps an awful lot. Because even just a couple of defensive pikemen can be immensely helpful at stopping these Knights from raiding you. There's a couple of Voyagers here as well, being taken down. And I would like to add that I'm just noticing that the reason why the second tower is important here is because this is all the gold that Vodka had. So Vodka has to go for this gold mine over here. That's his only gold income on his opponent or on his teammate's base. There is double stable Knights from Rice over here. The Turkish team still behind in eco. Castle Age now coming in for Vodka. That's pretty much a turning point. But before that, the Knights can do quite a lot of raiding, and the unit control is actually very, very good from BaDream. So you see that he drags away the Knight to the left with one Knight and then dives in with the others. And currently Rice is struggling to control that gold mine, and without gold, they will struggle to get Knights out, and they will just get overrun and get raided on this open map. With Knights, it's 10 Knights to 12, but it feels a lot more, to be honest, for BaDream, because he's using the mobility advantage very, very well. So halfway up to Castle Age is Vodka though, and when that blow of crossbow starts moving, it's suddenly going to turn into a lot worse situation, because they can just start moving up and basically march right into the base of BaDream. In here, a sneaky Voyager coming in here for Kasva. By the way, it looks like Rise hasn't taken his third elephant at all. That sneaky tower is not visible for either of the Italians, and that means that this tower is likely going up, and it's going to deny that gold mine, or at least for some time. Now Knights dive in. Knights trying to help as well, but these are still few Lage Archers against +2 defense Knights. For now, they will disengage upon seeing the reinforcements come in. Second TC coming in on the gold mine, as BaDream once again launches an attack on that gold mine over there. The TC is, I think, going up. However, that tower is gonna be a little annoying over there for the Italians. So with that, crossbow bot king coming in a matter of moments, and the thing is, indeed, you just pull the villagers. Kasva, nice move, but unsuccessful at dropping those 2 stone walls over there. So the tower's gonna need some time until it goes down, but it will go down, and now there is safe gold mine for the Italians here. And the biggest problem is that Kasva is still not castle age. He's getting close, but they're up against equal amounts of knights, but more importantly, 28 crossbows as well. And those crossbows really turn the tide of the battle in the favor of Rise and Vodka. Looking good for them right now as they take over in terms of score lead. All the knights have been called back by BaDream, so he needs to make sure that this tower goes up for Kasva, but that doesn't seem like it is happening, and there will be at least 2 villagers picked off here. Make it just 1. That was a nice defense from Vodka and Rice. On the other side, we're gonna have University and the second TC as well, so ballistics will soon be a thing here. Water control is completely in the favor of BaDream and Kasva, and one thing that they're not doing though is actually adding fishing eco. Like, Kasva has 1 fishing ship. They could just be doing all the fish boom in the world and would still survive, I feel like. So if they actually had some fish boom going for them, that would have been extremely helpful. And look at this, there's a repair villager inside. So this tower keeps being very, very annoying, because this repair villager could actually keep repairing if Kasva had any stone, but well, Kasva doesn't have any unless he buys some. First stable could even go down over here if the knights continue to push that. Right now BaDream is just waiting for +1 attack to come in, and then he's going to jump on those crossbows and knights. He wants 1 decisive engagement. We'll see what Kasva does though, as we have some knights raiding his wood line. And look at this, this is a beautiful move. Just 2 crossbows from Vodka. Going for the gold mine, picking off villagers is so annoying. And eventually this tower goes down because there is no repairs coming in for Kasva. Big fight coming in here. And you can use these narrow choke points in between the baobab trees to take some very good engagements with your crossbows. So that's actually a very good fight for Vodka over there. Picks off an awful lot of knights. The knights from his teammate have +1/+1 against +1/+2. This might not be enough for Rice and Vodka to clean up this entire army, but it is going to be sufficient to lower these numbers enough so that they are actually pretty much competitive in terms of military numbers. And Vodka and Rice already have a second wave assembled, I believe, somewhere back at home. They actually are able to keep the crossbows alive as the knights do disengage, but now there is more knights coming in from Rise, denying the TC, and this gold mine has also been denied by 2 archers, and a knight. Now it's a 24 villagers lead for the Italians, and once again Kasva is just starving for gold, and really the unit control here for Vodka is actually exceptional. They will get that TC up, although will they get that TC up? I think this is a TC that goes up. It's going to stay up as well, so the knights won't dive beneath. But once again, villagers count for Kasva is just 30. 30 after 30 minutes of gameplay, and BaDream and Kasva tap out. So Vodka and Rice, after a scary start, they are going to prevail and end up winning game number 2 as well. So match point real quickly over here for the Italians, and with that we're going back into the lobby. So we will have Britons, Franks, Vietnamese remaining from the pool 1 saves of the Italians, Koreans, Byzantines, Malay, other side Tatars, Indians, and something is wrong with the overlay. Where is my overlay guy? That Chinese shouldn't be crossed out. Wait, no. They messed up the civ picks. They messed up the civ picks. Now I see it. Oh man. Last year or 2 years ago, what we did when they messed up the civ picks, like the harshest thing would be to just say, okay, admin loss. But I think it's good enough punishment if they are forced to take two pool 2 civs then. So being forced to play with something like that. So they picked Incas and Italians, and by rules, they can only pick one civ from pool 1 and one civ from pool 2. So they messed it up. It's unfortunate, although as things stand, it won't really matter that much after 2 games. So I think, yeah, the exact solution to this one, especially now that they lost, is that they gotta pick 2 pool 2 civs in the next one. So, or not necessarily next one, but basically they gotta play 2 pool 2 civs. But still, this is not how the draft is supposed to work. With that being said, we will jump into game number 3, and let us just ignore the fact that they messed up the civilization selections there. And let's get going with game number 3. We're going to Eruption, which is going to be, as I said, a map that was once again featured in Red Bull Vololo, but this wasn't really played in random map settings so far. It is more of an Empire Wars map. As you see, Eruption, we have gold in the middle, so it is a certain version of Gold Rush and / Golden Pit. It has a huge elevation over here, so that makes Tatars a very, very reasonable civilization here. Tatars for BaDream in yellow, and Turks for Kasva in red. Tatar's heal bonus obviously being a massive, massive factor. Other side, we'll have Koreans for Vodka in blue and Franks for Rise in green. That's a very nice combination. Koreans are a solid archer civ here, so the extra attack helps quite a lot overall. So that is definitely something worth looking into. With that, we are gonna have South versus North fight over here. So far, no laming or no aggression coming in whatsoever. So, with that, Koreans could very well go for just straight archers here, but I think this map is vulnerable enough so that you will just play fast castles, just like you would do on Gold Rush. Now, one of the differences compared to Gold Rush is that you have Hunt in the middle, so you could actually make an ambitious move to move out. It's very possible that instead of fast castling, what you do is go fast feudal, for example, and go for the Hunt in the middle. Maybe even make a couple of scouts to make sure that you don't actually get killed over there doing that. But the extra Hunt in the middle could be beneficial. And look at that. Vodka is going to push the deer all the way from the top of the pit to his base, because the players do not start with Hunt close to their base. The Hunt is only there in the middle. One of the reasons why is because this was an Empire Wars map, and in Empire Wars in many cases there is no starting neutral Hunt like Ibex, deer or so. So this is basically the first time we're seeing this map, which was originally designed for Empire Wars, being played in a random map setting. That being said, there is Kasva that could actually try picking off a Voyager over there. Apparently he decides not to, so Vodka's gonna get away with this one for now. And Rice is doing the exact same thing, so pushing the deer from the middle. It's not really going to be an awful lot of a boost to your eco, but every little bit matters, and you see that happening over there pretty cleanly. So, that being said, is going to be a scout war over here. It looks like it's awfully close. I have no idea. I have no idea who's gonna win that, but it looks like Kasva wins this scout war over there. Keeps his scout alive, which is important for scouting. So it's not really about being able to use it as a combat unit anymore. It's about gathering information, potentially looking for neutral resources whatsoever. With that being said, there is 3 on wood only for Rise, so that's gonna be a scout's play from him. 4 on wood for Vodka. We got 3 on wood from Kasva, so that feels like a Turkish scouts play. Whereas on the other side, it looks like BaDream is going to be playing Tatar's archers. With that uptime, that seems like that's going to be potentially 21 pop archers from BaDream. Deer push will be successful over here. BaDream is going to find his opponent's base here. You gotta be careful. With fighting against the scouts of the Tatars that do have the hill over here. So, with that being said, we're gonna have Vodka rolling off the base over here, as will Rise do as well. So, with that being said, we are going to have votes coming in from everybody. It seems like it's going to be the typical feudal age into slow boom castle age type of scenario here. I feel like the scouts won't really matter that much because by the time they arrive, everybody should be up. And now that I look at it, I was looking at Vodka and thinking, hey, he could be fast castling with 4 villagers on wood, and indeed he's doing so. He's gonna need quite a lot of farms to do this though, because he doesn't have deer to push in. He did push in 1 or 2, but that's not necessarily satisfactory. So, with that, we're gonna have Rice coming in here with his first stable, and on the other side, it looks like we have some hits landed here by Rice's Frankish scouts. Tries to keep this hole open, but once BaDream reaches feudal age, and he also has his Voyager over here, he can actually take this fight. So I don't think that he's gonna be able to keep that open, and that basically means that Rice's scouts will pretty much just be useless. They might be able to hit Kasva, because Kasva is only slow to wall himself up. He goes for scouts, but reality is, as I said at this map, that I feel like the distances are fairly big, and scouts don't get through walls very, very easily on such a wallable map. I feel like scouts aren't really legitimate. That being said, this is going to be a fast castle war wagon play. Because we got villagers being sent to stone as well. It's going to be ambitious doing a 27 villagers fast castle war wagons with this one, especially with loom. So you need a 3rd voyager on gold because you did loom. So with that, we're gonna have Kasva adding a couple of scouts, but those won't really be able to do much. So I guess he's just gonna stop making scouts and boom towards Castle Age. That should be the plan as well for Rise. He actually added quite a lot of scouts here, so he still believes that he has a chance at pushing his opponent here, but the reality is that there isn't really any chance for Rice here to get into the opponent's base, unless there is a massive hole, but I don't think that actually is going to be the case. So, with that, we got 3 on stone, and Vodka is actually gonna have a pretty clean fast castle here. I'm actually surprised. Look at those resources. Those look really good for Kasva, or for Vodka here. Market Blacksmith, it's gonna be 2 more villagers added to stone, and then 1 more after he clicked up, probably taken it away from berries or so. And it's gonna be a nice fast castle war wagon play over here. So, with that, we are gonna have these scouts will probably just cancel each other. Rice will actually try to make sure that the archers won't push him. I think the main reason why Rice actually went for archers is because he wants to make sure that his opponent can just move up with the archers and combine armies with Kasva, because while the scouts alone won't do that much for Kasva, if you actually mix in 6, 7, 8 archers that deny the second layering, then suddenly that becomes a lot worse. You see that Rice is doing everything he can to make sure that the opponents don't get through his walls. So, we're gonna have walls coming in here as well. Even if you just add a second layer, that's completely fine. So, with that, We're gonna have a stone walls coming as well for Vodka, so they know exactly that they're behind in terms of military right now, but it makes sense for them to just try to play defensive and just make sure that the Vodka is able to get to a couple of war wagons, because that's the whole concept of this entire build here. Just make sure that you get the war wagons, and Rise is just doing the delay tactics, making sure that the archers from BaDream aren't really capable of doing anything here, and they're trying to take the hill against them, force the archers down hills. They will eventually hit this part of Rice's base, but I like this a lot. Like, defensive tower here, and house was everywhere. These archers and scouts aren't getting in here, so the best thing you can hope for is that you can actually trade off your scouts to the opponent's archers, because if you are successful doing that, then there will be no crossbows on the field. For our yellow player, there's the castle coming in. For the war wagon, it appears that Vodka keeps 5 villagers on stone. That might be for an additional town center in the foreseeable future. Still feudal age is Kasva and BaDream as well, which means that we are gonna have war wagons soon, and the problem here is that you don't really have a good feudal age answer to war wagons. Your best answer to war wagons in early castle is gonna be monks, but you need to get to castle age first, and Kasva has clicked up, but he's still 2 minutes away, so he's going to struggle really badly at defending against these war wagons at the beginning, and he might actually end up going for camos, or might be Turkish light cav, to be honest, now that I think about that. You can start massing scouts while you're going up to the next stage, and the war wagons are ranged units just as much as archers are, so Turkish light cav might actually be an okay solution to the war wagon problem, as the scouts now jump on top of the archers, and they will just absolutely tear them apart. I'm not sure if this investment into all these scouts is worth it though for Rise, because now that he cancelled that army, he's got nothing to do with these archers really. So you gotta question if this was actually worth it. And Kasva is going for triple stable, but it's gonna be camos from him against the war wagons. Other side, Castle Age will soon be coming in for Rise. He needs a bit more food. I think he's alright with gold, indeed he is. So he either needs a market or just needs to buy that one. So with that, there is gonna be 10 scouts moving in for a Rise. It is gonna be helpful, especially when it comes to picking off monks, and that's something that you have to consider. As I said, a nice defense against war wagons is monks, so if you have scouts around, they can do an awful lot. A fast husbandry from Kasva for his camos to make sure that they can actually catch up with the war wagons. And right now you're just waiting for those camos. Right now you will be getting your villagers inside your TC for some added protection, so you're gonna suffer from a bit of an idle time, but at the end of the day, what you're hoping, especially not the war wagons disengage, is that you will get to like 6-7 camos, and then you can just send your villagers back for safety. 2 TCs for Kasva, 1 only for our yellow player right now, because he's only going up to Castle Age right now. And it seems like Vodka has different plans. He doesn't want a TC, he wants another castle, and I would think he wants a castle on this ridge. Because one thing that we learned on Red Bull Vololo's eruption is that whoever takes a hill over here on the ridge can have an insane advantage over the opponent, because you can pretty much deny gold from there. So I would assume that the war wagons are just here to secure ground and then drop a castle over there. Other side, it looks like we are going to have crossbows soon. Castle Age is coming in as well for Rise, but he won't really have any army. Like, he's going to have to start making knights, whereas his opponent is going to be on 20 crossbows. So that's a bit of an advantage for the Turks over here. And let's see, this is the time for Vodka to move out to drop a castle. He can definitely afford it, so he's gonna probably start moving out to drop the castle over there soon. Scouts will potentially be intercepted here by the camels. This is the moment where Rice sees, okay, we're up against camels, and that's a problem, because the Franks are pretty much hard countered by camels. Their knights won't be able to do much. You can go pikemen, sure, but when your opponent has crossbows here, that won't help. So the camels here is a great unit, and this is something that we have seen in 2.1 that oftentimes Turks were used sort of as a pool to see if that's capable of fighting against reasonable cavalry civilizations, a budget camel civ. Anyways, that's quite a lot of war wagons here. TC coming in the middle for a rise, but the thing is there's crossbows heading there, and I like to split here from BaDream. He's actually sending the crossbows here to stop the TC. A castle in the middle comes in. This is an extremely important castle. If this goes up, it's going to deny all accessible gold pretty much from Kasva and BaDream. But it's a matter of question if it actually does go up. These are Tatar crossbows, so if they take the hill like this, they can actually do an awful lot of damage. And you see that they are picking off the knights and crossbows over here, and the camels are being chased down by the war wagons. So at the end of the day, the war wagons are getting pushed back, that castle is denied, and the team that controls the middle is actually the Turkish team. So Kasva and BaDream taking this one, and now you have Tatars holding a ridge here, which is going to be insanely hard to push. Neither of the players are able to secure this one with castles right now, so it's just going to be town centers. But with that, you now have Tatars holding this hill, and this is not a small hill, this is an enormous hill, as you see over here. Fun fact about this one is that you can only generate this big hills with special map scripts. So normally hills wouldn't spawn this high in the game. It requires a special map script to have this big hill, and this castle is nice and everything, but does that actually achieve anything for you? It doesn't secure the ridge, it doesn't give you access to gold. You still have gold back at home, but at the end of the day, you don't really have any control over the middle, and on eruption that could be devastating, especially if you're forced to fight up hills. Camels now coming in, picking off a couple of knights over here alongside some villagers, and since Vodka is kind of pinned down over here, he can't really help his teammate. So the camels will actually do a decent job at killing a couple of knights here and some villagers. At the end of the day, the knights win the engagement, but you really have to consider that BaDream is also getting quite a lot of cav archers on the field. Now triple range CA from him, only 1 TC back at home, getting TC number 2 up in the middle. War wagons now once again trying to push to the middle. The only good thing for them is that, as I said, their opponents don't have a castle in the middle. So if you actually secure a castle temporarily, or like just a bit of map control temporarily, and drop a castle here, you can start securing the middle. Because BaDream and Kasva are nowhere close to actually being able to solidify their control with actual castles. That being said, there is cav archers pushing the rise right now. 13 villagers lead for Kasva's team. The war wagons come back, but if the war wagons come back, that means they're not actually fighting for the hill and the gold, and that's where the problems begin. Cav archers running around, the mobility factor will definitely be on the side of the cav archers, and obviously they already have Thumbring. There is no university for ballistics, so this is only Thumbring but no ballistics. For now, it looks like Rise didn't cancel that TC, but he already built one back at home. And once again, Tatar cav archers trying to take the hill here, and now I think they will jump on all of these war wagons, and the knights, many of those knights were already low HP, and the cav archers will finish them off. Now the camels come in, camels with +2 defense but no attack upgrades. Not sure if this is going to be enough to clean up all of the war wagons, but the efficiency is going to be there, because war wagons are expensive and they actually need castles to be produced on. So with that, that is war wagons still clapping the camels over here. Who would have thought? Still, there's gonna be monks coming in for Kasva. Now he's on stone. He's on stone with 6. And I guess all he needs to do is just get a castle up here. Well, it would be best here, but that's not really a possibility right now. War wagons also have a bit of a mobility problem. So the cav archers, faster moving, can do quite a lot of damage when they run away from the war wagons and hit elsewhere. And this is the moment where BaDream needs to take the hill here. We have some guard towers coming in here for Vodka. So this is not a bad idea. You want to secure some ground with a couple of guard towers. Cav archers firing down hills against the knights, but still without ballistics. And knight or guard towers and war wagons might be able to secure you this ridge, and then getting a castle up over there should be a good one for you. But these are still Tatar cav archers with the hill bonus, and there is crossbows also denying knights from pushing in on this side. Both of the Italian players will soon be able to afford a castle, The problem is how and where you place that castle. Right now, it's 29 war wagons against 24 CA. And so we are gonna need something more here from Vodka and Rise to push it up this hill. Currently there is still just knights from Rise, but it's up against cav archers firing down hills, and these are Tatar cav archers, so they actually do an awful lot of damage to those war wagons, and this is the move. I think Kasva wants a castle here. It's now or never, so to say. But here come the war wagons. I think this is the moment where Vodka is gonna have to commit to this one no matter what. Because if he doesn't commit to this castle is going to forever deny him from accessing the gold from this side. So here comes the fight. I think ideally you want to take the hill here. A lot of camels jumping on the war wagons. Cav archers are mostly focusing the knights. Knights trying to dive in to snipe the villagers. And the war wagons are still alive. The castle, however, is going up. It's going up, it's gonna be close, and you gotta wonder if sending a couple of war wagons to the hill would have been a little bit more helpful, because now that castle is up and it's gonna be insanely hard to push that. Vodka is also getting close to clicking into Imperial, so that might be the plan. He tries to click into Imperial and trap this one down. So still, right now the entire army of Vodka and Rise is on the left side, so this is the moment where BaDream could move in and try to pick off a couple of villagers from the opponent. 3 TCs is the count for Rise and Vodka, but they're dangerously running low on gold. So that's something that you have to consider, that they are on a timer. Imperial Age is coming in as well for BaDream. Kasva is nowhere close to Imp though. If BaDream gets a castle up in the middle, he's gonna be able to fight with Trebs. But he's not close. There is going to be a castle attempted here by Rise, but that feels an overly ambitious effort. This tries to be a sneaky castle, but there is no way this goes up. There's absolutely no way this goes up, and indeed it's cancelled. Like, what he was hoping in is, I guess, that the war wagons here will draw away the attention of the Turks, and they will just be able to sneak a castle up here on this ridge, but those crossbows that will soon become upset with Imperial Age coming in are still holding that ridge and prove very, very useful. In this one, Kasva buying some food over here for some more camels, I believe. And with that, it's gonna be 136, 126 to Imperial. But the real question is if Kasva can keep that castle up. BaDream is still not mining a stone for himself. There is gonna be a castle for Rise on the left side, but does that mean a lot? Probably not. So, with that, we're gonna have another rule break over here. I believe that slinging is only allowed in Imperial. So, apparently, Kasva and BaDream didn't really do a great job reading the rulebook. Second time they messed something up, if I'm not mistaken. I think you can only sling in Imperial. I'll have to double check the rulebook. But I think I decided on Imperial Age slinging. On the other hand, it's not a full sling. We will see what comes out of this one, but if Kasva and BaDream turn this around, then this is gonna be an AoE zone drama. Am I an admin? I'm not an admin. Technically, this is my tournament. However, I'm not adminning things because otherwise I would be spoiled. So, this is the first time I'm seeing these recorded games. So, with that, there is the castle coming up for BaDream. That's the way he actually achieved the castle. Not really happy about that. So, with that, there is gonna be Trebs from Vodka and Rise shelling this castle over here. Nice counterattack from BaDream, as he's gonna pick off quite a lot of villagers, and Kasva's team is having a fairly confident lead over this game, I believe, especially as Rise dives in to try and snipe that trebuchet. That's a nice move overall. Vodka and Rise might still be in this game because they're slowly crawling up the hill here. If they can get like one more trap out, they could definitely take that castle down and secure themselves the ridge over there. Cav archer numbers are still looking scary though. And with that, we are gonna have the castle still standing here for Kasva, spending an awful lot of stone on repairs. Camo's now diving in, but that's a lot of war wagons. From the stacking you don't see it, but that's 37 war wagons. Cav Archer still with the hill, as Vodka and Rise are pushing up. Still, the castle is standing here for Kasva. He's gonna be out of stone very, very soon, but Vodka also is sort of running out of stone, and he's going to be the one that actually loses the first castle here. This is Tatar heal bonus with Trebs. Tatar heal bonus with Trebs, and that is going to result in that castle being lost. Now it looks like Vodka is going to dive in, try to snipe the villagers. So if he can actually take that castle down, that's still alright, because they can take this ridge. The problem for Vodka now is that he doesn't have stone to draw a castle here now. Still, if you are Vodka, you want to run up hills here. You want to camp this ridge because you don't want to fight against Tatars up hills. That's for sure. And indeed, here comes the keeps, just to keep away the opponent from the middle. We have everybody in Imperial Heavy Camo coming in right now for Kasva. Now it's Halberdiers for Rise, so it's gonna be Warvag and Halberdier. We got some light caps pushing in. Crossbows will actually try to loop around and get some damage done in here. And for now, these traps will be set up to take this trap down over here. Even ground now for Vodka, so he wants to start shelling that castle over there, which is the only castle. Actually, though, there's a second castle here, but that's the most important castle, I believe, for BaDream, which cuts off Vodka from resources. Once again, some of these war wagons are actually downhills compared to the Cav Archers. So this is definitely not ideal. Heavy camo just now in, and many of those war wagons are going down. Those are extremely expensive war wagons, and even more so, the crossbows are gonna be pushing in to the base of Vodka. Vodka is down to 52 villagers, and the war wagon numbers are gone, which means that it looks like Kasva and BaDream will secure a game for themselves. You can debate how much this sling was influential. Reality is that I don't think that was what mattered. So I don't like it. And if Kasva and BaDream actually win this one, then that's going to be causing a lot of drama. And hopefully that's not a thing I have to make a decision on. But from my perspective, what mattered was that Vodka and Rise was denied by this castle. It does, like, BaDream took down one castle, but it wasn't about that, right? So yes, it's sort of something that shouldn't happen, especially after the first flop of Kasva's team messing up the Civ selection as well. But I don't think that was the one that decided the game. So the traps were a factor, but at the end of the day, it wasn't about this castle trapping down this castle. It was about these castles being unable to trap this one down. That's what matters. And Kasva could have made a second castle here just to slow down the push of Vodka and Rise over here. That didn't change the fact that there was a break-in over here as well. That didn't change the fact that at the end of the day, Rise wasn't really able to get up here because of the crossbows. So it's unfortunate. But we have seen other major tournaments. I remember Battle of Africa 2 had some slinging issues as well. So that's not the really ideal either. So Fenerbahce wins Eruption, and now we're going to Regicide Fortress or Hideout in game number 4. So let's get going, I believe. Game number 4 will be Regicide Fortress. Let's see if they launched it as Regicide. I certainly hope that they did. So Regicide Fortress, one of my favorite maps overall in tournaments. This is a special version of Regicide Fortress that you're going to see, because this one does not have towers. So the idea is that as we do have the kings being garrisoned by Vodka and Rise over here, so On Regicide Fortress, you start with more villagers than standard. That's why Regicide is the start of this one. And what is special about this one is that you don't start with towers. This is intentional to make the game a little bit more aggressive, because we felt like if you just have towers up, there is going to be no sorts of early aggression. We definitely wanted to involve a closed map like this. Arena would have been debatable, but we felt like Arena is a little too passive, and Regicide Fortress has yielded some crazy games in 2PO's history. There was a show match between Viper and Taro and Leary and Hera. On this map, they went for like a 2-hour long game. I think that game is known as the game that lost a girlfriend to T90, because he pretty much missed dinner because of that game. So that was an amazing game, and that convinced us to actually go for this. Still, the lack of towers will mean that this is a little bit more open for aggression. You can play with forward Siege Workshop potentially. Obviously, it depends on where the opponent's castle spawns at. However, as I said, a Siege Workshop is not as impossible as it is in the case of defensive towers being up. With that being said, we'll have Indians for Kasva in red, and BaDream is going to be playing Spanish in yellow. Spanish is the standard civilization on this map, I would say, or at least it's one of the standard civs, because you got the castles, you can go for conquistadors immediately. Other side, Vietnamese for Vodka, so it's going to be Rat and Archer play for him. Other side will be Byzantines for Rise. That's more interesting. Byzantines is an interesting civ selection in general over here. I'm not really sure what Rise has on his mind right now. There is a fun sort of trivia fact about me with Fortress as well. The first ever map that I have seen in Age of Empires 2 was Fortress. That was like, what, 15 years ago when I was a kid, and my dad showed me Age of Empires 2, and that was the first map I've ever seen. So I have some connections to Fortress. It wasn't Regicide, it was standard start Fortress, but still, I still remember to that day. It was actually a fun story. It was not me playing, it was my dad playing, and my dad was playing against something like 3 or 4 moderate AIs, and he didn't know what relics are for, because he didn't really play this game that much before. He also played Age of Empires 1. And he allowed the relics to be collected by the AI, and I remember that he played like 2 or 3 hours every day, and he managed to beat the AI after like 5 days or so. And then he was telling me, I didn't know what these relics are for. That's how he learned what relics are for. That he didn't know, he just left them there. He thought it's just like the relics in Age of Empires 1. If you remember Age of Empires 1 relics, they are there to get standard victory. So if you collect 5 relics on standard victory in Age of Empires 1, you get the win, but they don't generate golds. And indeed, AoE 1 relics had wheels as well, but we didn't know that they actually generate gold in AoE 2. So that was my first ever AoE 2 experience, by the way. It's a nice little story to share in the middle of the Regicide Fortress game. Little did I know at that time that a couple years later I will be hosting a Microsoft-sponsored 2v2 tournament. So with that, we're gonna have a Feudal Age kicking in for everybody. Castle Age will soon come in as well. The gate actually opens up. This allows Vodka to run in and try and snipe that scout. We'll see if he actually commits to that as well. So what I'm unsure about is what Byzantines will do on this map. Like, they can play crossbow, maybe even arbalest in the future, but Vietnamese is definitely your archer civ here. So you want to use Byzantines as a cavalry civ. Alternative would be that you go for sort of a budget camo civ here, because Byzantine camos are pretty decent, and one thing that many teams did in 2PO's 1 on Regicide Fortress is actually go for Turkish camos on this map. So with that, we're gonna have all the kings garrisoned inside. This map also has a big legacy in 2PO's. If you have seen the 2PO's trailer, in the 2PO's trailer, we actually had the scene where Hera actually lost his scout in one of the qualifiers in 2-1. So he went out with the king, and he actually ran to the back of his opponent's base with the king, because you often scout with your king, and then he got trapped by villagers that gated off the exit, and then he was just up there with one king against the scout, and he lost his king. That was a legendary moment of 2-pose. Alright, so with that, we actually have a bit of an extra stone here for Rise. He did collect some, not an awful lot. He collected 50, but I'm not sure why, because he doesn't really have any extra. So TC number 2 and 3 coming in right now. He probably sold some stone to go up, and then he had to mine it back. That's most likely the situation. And it looks like we're gonna have a free TC play from both Rise and Vodka. Other side, it's gonna be free TC play from Kasva and BaDream. Although BaDream is right now playing on 2, but I think he's gonna add the third one once he's able to afford. Only 4 on Wood though, so it's gonna be a couple of Conquistadors. Now, as I said, with no towers, early aggression is definitely a little bit more viable, especially if you open up your base like that. Conquistadors could actually run in if you're not paying attention. The king is just chilling over here, casually observing that forest over there in front of him. Oftentimes you garrison your king into the castle, but you gotta be careful with that, because if you make Conquistadors, for example, and you accidentally ungarrison your king, it's going to run to the gather point of Conquistadors, which might be right next to the opponent's base. And if you lose your king, you lose the game, pretty much. So sometimes it's better to garrison the king inside your TCs. With that being said, we will have a small eco lead for Vodka's team. 60 versus 55 is the wheel count, and it's petards. I did mention that because of no towers, early aggression is more viable, and petards could very well be a unit that is much more viable without towers. If there was towers, it's much hard to blast your way through with petards, but in this case, you're gonna jump through the walls here or here. There's gonna be a couple of Rattans though, but these Rattans don't really have amazing upgrades. In fact, they don't have any upgrades on them right now. Here come the petards. 2 petards will be enough to break through these walls. The question is, where do you break through? And you gotta take a look at the scouting of BaDream for this. He knows where the castle is. So you don't want to push where the castle is, you want to push around this side. And now he's already breaking through the walls here. I think he's trying to fire down hills against that part of the wall, making sure that he's weakening it as much as possible. And I guess the idea here is that you just want to snowball everything with Imperial Camos while the Conquistador player harasses the opponent. The problem is that this might very well be just Hub and Siege for Rise, especially with Byzantines going for early Imperial. Here comes the blast, and that apparently caught Vodka off guard, because he's just getting Loom and Wheelbarrow is, or Loom and Fletching, so he apparently is scrambling a little bit to resist this aggression. The petard actually went to blast through here as well, but one petard was spent over here, one was over here, but it wasn't enough to make a second hole in the wall. So, with that, the king indeed is out here, so technically it's possible for BaDream to snipe it, but I don't think he will be looking there. Luckily for Vodka, the king is actually close to the castle. That being said, BaDream is actually very, very close to that castle, and if he accidentally spots the king, it's worth diving in. Vodka reacts and jumps back into the castle with that king, but you gotta be careful, as I said, especially when you garrison some of your Rattans inside your castle. You accidentally press the ungarrison hotkey, and the king starts running to the gather point, and you could lose your king like that. So it is free TCs from both of our cold color players, free TCs soon as well from our warm color team as well. We don't have bloodlines on these Conquistadors right now, no upgrades whatsoever. So, no defense upgrade, no bloodlines. They're actually taking down the blacksmith over here because they understand they can't do much of a damage. So, TC is protecting all key resources. So, we will just have him try and take down that blacksmith. Now there is botkin at least for Rattans. They will dive in and start picking off the conquistadors. One goes down, and Vodka just wants to try and save that blacksmith, but doesn't want to commit to this one. So with that, there is gonna be conquistadors coming in, and well, the blacksmith does go down. So Vodka is in a bit of a trouble. He won't be able to get extra armor for his archers. I think the bigger issue is that he doesn't have ballistics, but he's heavy on stone. So there will be a defensive castle in the foreseeable future. So with that, we are gonna have Kasva and BaDream trying to apply some pressure here to Vodka. But at the end of the day, these conquistadors will be pushed back. And now that's a lot of Rattan archers. That's a lot of Rattan archers. On the other side, we have an Indian player that's apparently preparing for Imperial Age. 75 villagers soon. But here's the deal. What do Indians do against Hub and Siege? In general, what do Conquistador plus Camel do against Hub and Siege? Because Conquistadors won't stop this either, and the cheap Imperial Age of Byzantines helps out quite a bit over here. And with that, I think all that Vodka needs to do is just make sure that he doesn't die to this one. Villager count is still very, very close, but a second castle is soon available for Vodka. Here would be a nice spot because you would secure that gold and stone with that. And in the meanwhile, camels are going to be slowly assembled here. It's actually going to be light cav. Light cav for Kasva. So he wants the Indian hussars that are amazing against archers. I think he's legit expecting an Arbalest play from the Byzantines, but it's not gonna be the case. Villager without loom gets picked off by the scout. Behind this one, Kasva actually collected 2 relics, so he's bringing in relic number 3 and he's looking for relic number 4. Because Rise wasn't really contesting the map and BaDream was forcing Vodka to stay within his own base, Kasva had a pretty much untouched time getting into relic collection. And it really seems like Kasva is planning for Arbalests from his opponent, and I think he's just realizing, oh shoot, it's actually gonna be Halberdiers in Siege. Luckily for him, his opponent doesn't have a lot of pikemen, so right now it's only 3 barracks making a couple of pikemen, not the end of the world. And there's another castle coming in here for Vodka. Nice micro against the Conquistadors, juking the gunshots over there. Once that castle goes up, I feel like this pressure is pretty much going to be done. Also worth noting that Vodka actually revolved the parts that were blasted through, so it's no longer possible for BaDream to run inside. BaDream getting a second castle up over here. But here comes the Halberdier, here comes the Ram. And what do you know now, Kasva? He's just trying to transition into archers or maybe scorpions. He's gonna need a couple of mangonels, but I don't think that he has enough time to transition into whatever is needed to stop this ram push. It's not a lot of halberdiers, but he literally has nothing to stop this, and he will just lose building after building. So it's gonna be conquistadors being brought in here, and you can jump into the rams with your halberdiers and just go for the stables. That already does quite a lot of damage if you take down 4 or 5 stables of your opponent, because you have to consider that the Rattans are also moving up, and Imperial Age is coming in for Vodka. So the last player to Imperial is going to be BaDream, and that's going to be quite concerning at the end of the day. Rams knocking through the walls, as we are gonna have like, Kasva feels like he just prepared for Arbalests here, because he's going for the Indian Hussars that do have the extra pierce armor, but he seems completely unprepared for the Halberdiers play. That being said, there isn't really a lot of rams, and more importantly, not enough Halberdiers here. Siege ram almost in. So if there was more Halberdiers, this would be a lot scarier, but right now we're talking about 17 Halberdiers, so really production is somewhat lacking for Rise. And that means that this push stalls out here really badly. Production was lost by Kasva, but he can rebuild that relatively easily on the left. So with that, Rattans holding the hill. There is going to be Imperial Age for them as well. This is actually a very, very nice fight for a Turkish team. Taking over in terms of score lead. And once again, there is not enough Halberdiers. There is just not enough Hobbs. That being said, the Rattans still pack a pretty big punch once they get the Imperial Age upgrades. So those Hussar will somewhat... They won't really struggle badly, but Rattans are slightly better against these Indian Hussars than standard archers or crossbows or arbs are. That being said, now the Hussars are gone, so the Rattans can jump on the Conquistadors, and when that happens, the Halberdiers once again will have their way, and now the Byzantine flood starts to begin, and there is still no answer from Kasva to this one. Like, he was trusting the Conquistador light cav play to stop this one, but suddenly the army numbers are looking way better for Vodka's team. There's gonna be a third castle coming in as well. 3 castles worth of Rattan archer production as well. For Vodka and Rise, they take over in terms of military numbers, and suddenly that's a very, very scary push with multiple siege rams, 26 Halberdiers on the field. Loom just now coming in for Kasva. So he's gonna try to take a fight here with the light cav to try and pick off the Rattan archers. But you see that now there is enough Halberdiers to stop this, and like the best thing that Kasva can achieve is pick off a couple of siege rams, but he can't stop the initial wave of siege rams. And remember that this is Regicide Fortress. So if you take down that castle and the king pops out, you can just kill the king. And that's already enough. You don't need to finish off the opponent, you just need to finish off the king of the opponent. If you need. And I think they're going for that castle. The king evacuated, I believe. I am looking for a king right now. I don't think that we have a king hotkey in Capture Age. But the king is no longer inside. So he's out somewhere. I'm going to press K, but there is no king hotkey right now. Old Capture Age used to have a king hotkey, so you could jump to the opponent's king. But the castle goes down, and I have no clue where that king is at, but I'm fairly certain he's not as safe anywhere as he could possibly be inside that castle that is just going down. So where even is that king? Red dot on yellow base. Could be, but I don't see any. I honestly don't know where that king went. It's not in here, it's not in here, it's not on the field. It's not on here. I don't really know where the king is at. He ran to yellow's base. Okay, I will believe chat. Oh, I think he might be in the yellow castle. Okay, that's a nice move. That's the right thing to do. Run to the teammate's castle. Does this change the outcome of the game? Most likely not, because currently it's 86 army against 40, and Light Cav Conquistador won't stop the flood of Byzantine Halberdiers. So it's gonna be Rattan archers and Halberdiers pushing this one. Elite Rattan on the way. They're still missing the final defense upgrade, but it's still gonna be crazy. And with that, another TC goes down and Kasva has to relocate. Now there is a lot of space to relocate to. We have a trap war on the left side, but BaDream loses that one really badly. He still has 2 traps up, but now the Rattans will start moving in, and they can just pick off repair villagers potentially, so they should be able to keep this castle alive for the time being. Big fight coming even on the right side. Kasva trying to take an engagement, trying to jump on the Rattans, but once again, this is just not working out the way that this was intended. Hand cannons, Indian hand cannons are actually pretty decent if you get the range upgrade for them. It's not really a big deal, but Indian hand cannons are sort of alright-ish. The problems that you're facing is that Kasva is outnumbered 104 to 33. Military quality isn't that much better either for Kasva's team, so it's a couple of Conquistadors and Hussars and hand cannons versus Rattan archers and Halberdiers, and you still don't have any answer to Rattans. Like, Hussar hand cannon might work out, but Kasva is losing villagers big time. This is his original starting base. He will soon lose the 4 relics that he has had. Kasva resigns, and with that, Vodka's team takes game number 4 over here. Very nicely done by them. So at the end, the controversy with the wrong safe picks and the slinging in the previous game, it seems like it didn't matter. we are lucky with that from that perspective, but I feel like Vodka and Rise pretty much outplayed their opponents in most of the games. So the Halberdier Siege here was just much, much better timed, and I'm not sure what Kasva was thinking about this. He definitely was suspecting either Arbalest play, or he just didn't prepare to be pushed by the Byzantine player at all. Because light cap here only makes sense for Indians if you're actually up against archers. So he got completely caught off guard by the Byzantine Halberdiers. And with that, Vodka's team gets into the next round of 2 post 2 qualifiers.